Alright, so this video is about trying to figure out how to solve given problems on your 3-2b worksheet when you have figures and you have parallel lines and you're supposed to see how angles relate to each other. So I'm just going to walk through those problems so that you can know how to do these and how to recognize certain patterns so you can do what you have to do in the future. So the first thing I need to see is I have my parallel lines here and I have a transversal connecting, and I should see a pair of corresponding angles, which is why y equals 61. But then also in that same figure, I should see a transversal between those two parallel lines that makes a z, and the insides of those z's, those inside angles, are alternate interior angles, so those are also congruent. So x automatically equals 60. So I'm looking for corresponding angles climbing the ladder. I'm looking for alternate interior angles. The next figure has a different situation. If I see parallel lines, like the two that are given, and a transversal connecting, I could also be looking for same side interior. Because if two angles are same side interior, if you add them, it would equal to, the total would be 180. So obviously x is going to be 10 in this case. Otherwise, on the other side, I still have parallel lines, but I also have other ideas with parallel lines. These two lines are also same side interior, or excuse me, these two angles are also same side interior, but because one side is perpendicular, the other side's also going to be a right angle. So 2y automatically equals 90, and y would actually have to be 45 in that case. So again, you can think of it as same side supplementary, same side interior supplementary, or you can just know that that transversal has to be perpendicular to both parallel lines. So 2y would be 90 either way. Doesn't really matter how you think about it. Otherwise, in the next picture, when I look at this transversal and these two parallel lines, these are same side exterior. Again, you should be able to add those up to get 180. So x has to be 60 in this case. Otherwise, when I look at the other portion of the diagram, this transversal, these two parallel lines, these two angles should be congruent because they're corresponding. So I just know that, okay, x was 60, I'll use 60 for that. 3y plus 6 equals 60. That means 3y equals 54. That means y must be whatever 54 divided by 3 is. So I believe in that case it's going to be an 18. So x is 60 and y is 18. Next set of diagrams, you got to do a lot of the same things. So first thing I might look at on this diagram is I have two parallel lines, I have a transversal, x and 70 are corresponding. So x is automatically 70. Otherwise, y can be found by recognizing that this side of my angle is 50 just like the other side because of vertical angles. And then you should notice that, okay, now that I have three adjacent angles right next to each other there, they're all going to add up to 180. So x was 70, and then you add that 50 plus y. That's all going to add up to 180. So y equals 50 plus 70 is 120, so y must be 60. That's how I get my answer. Otherwise, in the next figure, I'm looking at this parallel line and a transversal. That means my 3x equals 42 because those are alternate interior angles. If I can see a z, I automatically know that. Right? So 3x equals 42, x must be 14. Right? Otherwise, same thing we were talking about before, if I do see that this over here is perpendicular, this over here must be perpendicular as well. If the transversal is perpendicular to one of two parallel lines, it's perpendicular to the other one. So since 3x was 42, I can say that 6y, oops, looks kind of weird. Try that again. I can say that my 6y minus 6 plus 42 equals 90. So 6 minus the 42, that's a 36, right? So 6y minus, or plus 36, excuse me, equals 90. So then 6y equals 36 off of 90 is 54. Y equals, must be, what was that 18 again? So whoops, not 18. That was silly. Should be y equals 9. I was thinking about something completely different. But then I go to my next figure, and I look at multiple things here. First thing, you kind of have to just see that there's going to be that angle addition in here with 3 different lines. So that's eventually going to come into play, but I also see a couple z's. They don't connect directly, but they do actually still correspond. So 55 could get moved to here first, and then I can see that my x and that 55 are in another z, a separate z on this side. So x definitely is 55, right? But otherwise, I was talking about that set of adjacent angles over here because these would all add up to 180. If I can figure out what they are, I can do what I need to do from there. So first I have to recognize that I can corresponding angles, I can make y move over here, and then I can take my 50, if I get a different color here, and move it to this side, because that would be corresponding with 2 parallel lines. So now I can see that y plus 50 plus 55 equals 180, and I just solve for y, right? Let me switch to green there. If I had y plus, what is that, 105, it would be equal to 180. Ooh. 180. So then y equals 75. Right? Next set of figures. I can see right away, perpendicular here, it's probably perpendicular up here too, so 3x equals 90. So x must be 30. That's my start, right? Good place to start at least. Next thing I can do, I need to be able to see a set of corresponding angles. 68 up here is the same as this angle down here, so that means 8y plus 4 equals 68. So 8y equals 64. I mean, y equals 8. Otherwise, now that I have that 68 in place down here, I should be able to see that, however I want to look at it, 2z plus 68 plus the 90 would be 180. But I also know that 2z plus 68 would be 90. Both sides of that would have to be perpendicular. So however you want to start it doesn't really matter. But when I'm solving for z, 2z, there's a reason why I put lines through my z's, plus 68 equals 90. So then 2z equals, what would that be? A 22. So then z equals 11, right? Next figure. Corresponding angles. X is 56. Or I shouldn't have said corresponding. Those are same or alternate interior angles. So I saw a z right away. There's also another z that will come into play that I know I don't have to solve for this angle, but it's nice to know that it's 24 because it helps you get the next thing. Because I need to know what y is, and y is supplementary to the 2456 area over here. So if I add those two angles together, they're supplementary to y because they'd be same side interior. So y equals 180 minus that combined angle there, which would actually be, it would be 80. So y must be 100. So then for z, same situation. It's still supplementary to that same angle. So y and 4z should be the same size, same value, but 4z is equal to 100. That makes z 25. Again, next one. If I look at this last figure over here, these two angles should be same side interior. That makes them supplementary. So x equals 70 because you got to add those to get 180. Right? Otherwise, now all the angles that I can see are corresponding to x, because no matter if I'm looking at these two parallel lines and transversal, these two parallel lines transversal, all of those are in corresponding positions. So from here on out, I'm just saying everything equals 70. So z plus 32 equals 70. Z equals 38, but 5y plus 10 also equals 70. So then 5y would be equal to 60. Y must be, mine's blinking right now. So it'd be 12. Excuse me. Took me a second there. Last couple problems. These just have your supplementary situations in them, so they should be same side supplementary there, this angle and this angle. Same thing's true in the bottom portion though. 140 plus your 2x minus y also equals 180. So I'm setting those up to solve simultaneously. 2x plus y equals, we're going to call it 60 because I took that 120 off 180. The other 2x minus y is equal to 40 because I already subtracted that 140 from 180. Now I just combine those two equations because the y's cancel out. So I get 4x equals 100. That would make x 25. So if I plug in x for that first equation, 2 times 25 is 50. And 50 plus 10 equals 60. So y equals 25, or excuse me, x equals 25 if y equals 10. That one's done. Second one over there, same thing, more the same. That's equal to 180. Those are supplementary. They add up to 180. So 4x minus 2y equals 110. First equation, 4x plus 2y equals 130. Combine those two things because the y's go away right away. 8x equals 240. That makes x, 24 is divisible by 8. Goes in there 3 times, so x must be 30. That makes y, okay, 4 times 30 would be 120. Minus 2y gives you 110. So y must be 5, right? So check it on the second one. 120 plus 10 is 130. Yeah. X equals 30, y equals 5. You just got to set them up supplementary and then solve simultaneously. Alright, so hopefully that video helps.